Hey guys, it's Sam with Ready Set Go. Welcome to the video. Pleasure to have you guys aboard today. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing 5 tips for trading binary options. And I kind of made this video because a lot of people, when they first get into binary options trading, they actually end up losing money. And it's usually due to a lack of not knowing these few different concepts that are involved in trading and not having the discipline to implement them. So just by covering this, I just want to give you guys an idea of how exactly you should go about approaching trading binary options. So, everyone's style is a little bit different, but I think the 5 tips in this video are fairly fundamental to, being successful at it long run. A vast majority of traders do end up losing money. But the people that are able to succeed at it, that small minority that are able to actually make money with trading, they're able to, follow these rules, be very disciplined about it, and make sure that they're never, in a position where they're going to deplete their bankroll or go to zero or anything like that. So let's get right into it. The first thing is you got to select the right brokerage. You know, it's not like investing, like joining E-Trade or Scottrade. The differences between E-Trade and Scottrade are fairly minimal. With binary options trading, there are a lot of brokers, and not all of them are legit. There are a lot of scams out there. They are based in different countries outside the US or Canada, and or even the UK, and they're not entirely like people that have traded before with binary options. You probably already know this, but sometimes it's hard to withdraw your money. You might deposit $1,000, run it up to 10K, and then when you go back to try to deposit that profit, they're not willing to do it, or they might say it takes 3 months, or they might even call you on the phone and try to convince you that no, you can't withdraw. And there's a lot of rules around that, so you might end up getting screwed. So make sure that you're using a legit broker that other people are using, other people trust, and other people have actually withdrawn money from in the past. And that's why I highly recommend a few of these on here. Like, these are from my research. I don't use all of them, but from my research, these are the ones that are most trusted by people in the US, Canada, and pretty much anywhere. If these are the ones that will allow you to withdraw your money. And even if you join one of these, what I highly recommend is take your entire bankroll that you are playing with or investing or trading, whatever you want to call it. You take your entire bankroll and spread it out across multiple brokers. Never leave too much money in one brokerage account. And I know that requires a little bit of more work to track that and make sure that, you make all the calculations as to how much you actually have, how much you lost, all that stuff. And even, from a trading perspective, you have to use different brokers throughout the day. That's not ideal. But at the end of the day, it's better to put in that little bit of work and have your money accessible whenever you want it. And my last tip for choosing the right broker is just the fact that read the rules about bonuses. A lot of times when you select a bonus upon signing up, the matching, 100% matching. So if you deposit $1,000, they give you $1,000. There's a lot of rules and regulations around that. Brokers don't want to get scammed either. So they're not going to give you they're not going to match your deposit just to have you withdraw that in 2 weeks. I could easily put in $100, wait 3 months, and then take out $200. That's not really what they're going for with this. So when you select that bonus, you're actually going to have to play or trade for a certain volume of trades or spend a certain amount of money on their platform. So definitely read that. And uh, again, bonuses aren't necessary. If you do plan on trading for the long run, then I highly recommend taking a bonus. But if you're just looking to try it out, probably skip it the first time. If you do sign up for, maybe 6 months down the road when you sign up for a different brokerage firm and you want to deposit a little bit more money, then maybe a bonus actually becomes worth it. All right. Tip number 2, always use proper bankroll management. And what I mean by bankroll management, essentially your bankroll is the total amount of money that you have to invest or trade with. And bankroll management is making sure that your bet sizes or your trade sizes are within a reasonable amount so that even if we'll get into variance a little bit later, but so even if you were to experience a downswing, you're not going to zero. The ultimate goal is Never have your account go to zero. Even if you go down, you experience a downswing, you want to be able to ride that out. And this is actually this comes from poker. When I played poker back in the day, played at fairly high limits, and the number one thing was you don't want to be too aggro or aggressive, and eventually play over your limits and just cause a downswing. I know making money and moving up in limits or moving up in bet sizes is kind of exciting, but at the end of the day, when you move up, if you don't have the bankroll to sustain a downswing, you're gonna have a high chance of just running out of money and not being able to play through the variance. And that's why you always got to trade within your limits. Just even if you have to move down, you should always move down if you need to. And these numbers are not precise. You don't have to have 20 to 40. Sometimes this might even be on the lower end. Some people like to have 40 to 100, and some people are they have the ability to deposit more money, so they'll play super aggressively and they'll play from 0 to 20. So it depends on whether you have the funds to redeposit, whether you don't want it to go to zero. It's kind of custom, but it's kind of custom made to the individual trader. But at the end of the day, make sure whatever your bankroll management strategy is, you want to play within that. All right, so this is what I was talking about with variance. And variance is just like a statistical part of trading binary options. It's an inherent aspect of trading that you just need to get used to. There's no trading strategy that's going to always make you money. If someone was able to make money 100% of the time, then they'd be filthy rich and they would not even be watching this video. But for the majority of us, we have trading strategies that are not 100% optimal. So we need to make sure that we have the ability to play through. That's why I was talking about bankroll management. We want to be able to play through these downswings here. And if that requires 3 months of trading, you're going to want to be able to have playing within your limits that are trading within your limits that you are going to be able to ride that out. And that's kind of one of the things you just need to accept. If you're not able to emotionally wrap your head around losing money, binary options trading might not be the best for you, because you are going to lose money. The goal is over the long run, over years of trading or months of trading or whatever your time frame is, that's when you want to be profitable. Having 2 or 3 bad days, it sucks, but trading is a long run thing. You need to make money. You need to create a strategy that's profitable over the long run. And that requires law of large numbers, is that you need to make a lot of trades with a certain strategy to ensure that it is to make sure that it's profitable before you actually discard it. If you use a new type of strategy and within, a couple days it's not making you money, then doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad strategy. You just haven't given it enough trials. And that's over the long run, over 10,000, 20,000 different trades. If it is, that's when you start figuring out whether it's a profitable strategy or not. And that's why variance is just something you need to accept. And going in, make sure proper bankroll management allows you to deal with this variance. All right, tip number 3. Learn the asset before you trade it. A lot of people just jump in and pick something and just start making trades. And that's not, that's kind of an easy way to lose your money right off the bat. You want to make sure that you kind of look into the history of the asset, get a feel for it, watch, open a demo account and just play around with it. And over a few other, over a few weeks, you'll get a good feeling of how that asset's going to trade. And then you can kind of be selective about which ones you want to trade. That's kind of the become a specialist. And these are just the currencies. There's a lot of companies that you can also trade for as assets on binary trading platforms. So make sure that you are becoming a specialist in a few and trade those. And don't just copy somebody else's just because they say, that this works for them. Don't just go copy them, because it might not be profitable with your strategy or you personally. So find what's good for you and then progressively start to up the bets and move up. All right. Tip number 5. The thing about binary options is you have to constantly be learning. And this isn't a guessing game. You're not just playing around. You're not just saying, hey, this is going to go up. Oh, this is going to go down now. You need to look for signals, and you need to make sure that there are reasons why you are making these bets. If you're just guessing, that's completely wrong way. Go back, read some blogs, watch some YouTube videos of live trades, and figure out the signals and indicators that you need to look for. And then once you know them, make a list, have them in front of you as you're trading. And over time, it'll become inherent. You'll memorize these and you'll know what to look for. And that's the goal. It needs to, but it takes that work up front to learn those and put that time into education. Invest in that education, because over the long run, you're going to be able to completely, once you know these, you're going to be able to test, like I have on there, bullet 3. You're going to be able to test these different signals, test what's working for you, test what's working with different currencies. And that's why you never got to stop learning, like constantly be learning. You if you stop learning, and if you stop learning, then you eventually are complacent with what you're currently making. And that's not never a good thing with this. You always want to constantly be improving. It's like a sport. Trading is like poker, which is like chess, which is like football, which is like soccer, which is like any other sport. You want to constantly be improving, and that's kind of the mentality that you need to get in with this. Is what's working? Let me test it out. If it's not working, I'll throw it away, and then I'll try something else new. And it's constantly iterative cycle of this testing, using, implementing process. So never stop learning and never stop investing in yourself, because over the long run, it'll be marginal gains every month, every week, whatever your time frame is. But those marginal gains in the aggregate are huge. That's when you become one of the profitable traders out there that's making money with binary options trading. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. And if you did, we would really appreciate it if you could give this video a like or subscribe to my channel. Um, Beyond that, if you guys are looking for additional information, check out the description below. I do have a few of the links to those brokerage firms that I mentioned on the tip 1. If you do want to sign up, would really appreciate it if you guys use those links. I do make a few bucks off that just for making these videos and sharing this information with you guys. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. Thank you guys again for watching, and I will catch you all later. Peace.